Hey guys, how you doing? Yeah. Let me know. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me in the comments. That would be good. I'm trying to do a simultaneous stream live. And we'll see if I show up here. We'll see what happens. Oh my God, it's working. I'm doing a unique thing here. I am simultaneously streaming. Come on. I'm simultaneously streaming live on X. I don't know if you can see it or not. So that's kind of cool. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, welcome. Hope everything is well. Let me turn it down a little bit. I'm going to down a little bit. Hello, hello, hello. How you guys doing? Thanks for showing up. Let me get this a little bit out of the corner here. Yeah, if you can give me a thumbs up, it would be much appreciated. As you know, the Google algorithm wants that. So I'm attempting to start upping my live streams again. I don't know if I'll do dailies, but we're going to get to it. So as soon as I get enough people on the stream, I will... I'll get to the subject. We'll wait for about 50 people to show up. Then I'll jump into the subject. Then we'll do a little Q&A. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so, let me zoom in a little bit. Actually, you like my Vulcan hand here? How do I get to it? I don't know. Here? Anyway, the top corner, other side. There we go. There we go. Top corner. This thing here, this is brand new. Actually, it's been around for months and months and months, but I never used it. So here you go. That's the official logo. The Codlon and Profit Vulcan hand. Let me zoom in. All right. There you go. All right. So let's see who's here. All right. Mr. Mickey Mouse is first. Let's get him down. Position. Check car. Hey, Samad, how are you? Good. Can you hear me? Let me know. Let me know if you can hear me. Hey, it's Anissa. How are you? Missed you and your lives. Glad I'm back to YouTube. Well, thanks for joining the lives. I enjoy doing these, so I hope to do them more often. I'm thinking about how I'm going to relay information to you. Hello. Hey, Rob Burns, man. How you doing? See some old faces. Hello, hello. Voice is very clear. Good, good, good. Uncle Steph, you have a soothing voice, even though ever thought of doing ASMR? It's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that. How are we enough people? I'll wait till we're 30 people. So I'll give you a little backstory. Many years ago, when I used to have course material on CDs and DVDs. So I get emails from people on a regular basis, and they would tell me that they would, women would play my web design and development CDs in the background where I'm teaching them about JavaScript and so on. And they would play it in the background while they were doing the dishes or something, or doing the washing, and it would soothe them. That's what I was told. And then one time I had some rapper woman from famous in the 90s. I forget her name because I'm not into rap music. Anyway, she started calling the business line back when I had the line accessible, and it was me answering the business line was my voice. She would call it over and over again to listen to my soothing voice. It was a weird thing. Anyway. All right, 39 people. All right, thanks. I appreciate you can give me some thumbs, and then we'll jump into it. Let me know in the comments. Is the voice clear? The music not overpowering? Let me know in the comments, and we'll take it from there. I'm doing an experiment today. We're simultaneously streaming on X. So I'm doing this on YouTube and X at the same time. So we're going to see how this goes. All right. There seems to be a delay on X. That's interesting. Anyway, all right. We'll jump into the subject, and then we'll do some Q&A and a few other things. So I appreciate the thumbs up. So subject of the video is 4 types of web professionals out there. I've identified 4. Wow. So there's front-end developer, back-end developer, full-stack developer, And then there's a particular one, a peculiar one in these days, I suppose, the web designer. They're kind of a branding expert. So I'm going to go over these very briefly, and then we're going to, so you understand what they are, and then we'll look at the job opportunities as they relate to these different professions. So front-end developer, React developer, Vue developer, Angular developer, they're strictly working on the front end, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and they're using a library like React and so on. And they are developing an application. They are writing code and leveraging these tools to create some sort of application. For example, maybe they're developing a web app for tracking shipments for a coffee distribution company, speaking of coffee. Yeah, so that's a front-end developer. So the back-end developer, again, is writing code for an application, but they're writing on the back end. Basically, the back end is the server. So they could be writing JavaScript, Python, PHP, Ruby, Java, C#, and I'm sure there's other languages as well. So you got the front end, meaning the code that runs in the web browser, they're front-end developer, and you got the back-end developer. And the one unifying thing about these two professions is that they're writing code to create applications. They're creating some sort of functionality. So you also have the full stack developer. That's where I did most of my work. Full stack developer does both. They do back end and front end, and they're more of a generalist in that regard. Yeah, so what's the fourth? The fourth is, for lack of better terms, the web designer. So the web designer, they are writing code, but not as much code. So they're writing HTML5, CSS3, maybe a touch of JavaScript, but not too much. But what their main role is not to develop an application. Their main role is to develop a branding site, a sales site, a marketing site. Their goal is more about creating for branding, for marketing, for awareness. That's the whole point. So they have similar skill sets to a certain degree with the front-end developer, but it's very different still. There's some crossover in that the front-end developer knows their HTML and their CSS, but the web designer has a whole bunch of other skills that the other types of web professionals don't have necessarily. So what are those other type of skills that the web designer has? Well, they are, first of all, they know their UI and their UX, user interface design, user experience design. They're good at that. They understand design aesthetics, right? They will understand also the plethora of tools, at least part of them, that are out there. So for example, if you're a professional web designer, you will know when it makes sense to implement a CMS like WordPress, or maybe when it makes sense to use a Shopify, or maybe when it makes sense to use Wix Studio, or maybe when it makes sense to integrate with Stripe or something. You see, they're more of a generalist, the web designer is, and their main focus is branding and marketing and sales. Their skill set is not exactly aligned with the other developer types, but it's related. And they have a bunch of skills and knowledge that the professional coders, back-end, full-stack guys don't have necessarily. So I'll give you an example. Several years ago, we were working on a project, and I needed to get a blog up, of a WordPress site up for purposes of marketing and sales. So my lead developer had some time off of building applications. So we had him, I said, hey, can you put up this WordPress site? We've got to throw up this theme, we need this and this and that. And he said, yeah, no problem. I've never done it before, but it can't be hard. He's a very, very capable full stack developer. I had to pull him off the project after 2 weeks because he just couldn't get it going. He didn't understand WordPress well. He didn't understand the ecosystem well. It was not his thing. His design skills were, and he was really, really competent at what he does. So in the old days, a web designer, a simple web designer, was kind of a lower level dude or dudette versus the full stack developer. But that's not the case anymore. In 2024 and looking forward, the web designer has it's its own thing now. And it's very, very, it's not trivial. It's not trivial. There's a lot of complexity in web design, but it's different. And it's not so code centric, right? Let me know if you have any questions. That's pretty much the summary of that's 100% clear. All right. Today, please also talk about AI-generated content, face, red, heart shape. Oslam Okar. Yes, I hope I said that right. Let me know if I said your name properly. For sure. Look at it. Look at the AI tools as that they're tools. They're something you can leverage. You know, for example, back in the day when we were doing the graphics for websites and apps, it was a lot of work. Like just like to have a transparent background behind somebody, we had to use something in Photoshop called clipping paths. And you had to use these Bezier tools, and you had to basically draw these lines around people. And the hair was a disaster, except for I have no hair, so it wouldn't have been too difficult for me. But so it was like you had to use this thing called a clipping path, and it took forever to get a really nice, transparent, seamless background behind somebody. Now it's just like you click a button, right? And I welcome that. And I could go on for two live streams for 4 hours about all the new technologies that we take for granted today that we did not have in the 90s. So AI, for whether it be code generation or image generation or video generation or music generation, just consider them part of that process. I was talking to an old friend of mine who's a developer, ancient nerdling developer like me. And I was saying, you know, in terms of how much of an impact a technology has had on the development world, AI has not been the most impactful in my career. So for example, back in the 1996, Microsoft came out with active server pages, which was a new way of developing web apps, totally new way. I won't get into the history of it, but it was a totally new way. And it literally like allowed me to take an application, and instead of taking 12 months to produce it like some other developers using the current technology at the time, I used this new technology at the time called active server pages. And I was able to build a better version of the app from scratch with the new technology in 1 month. So literally, it was more than 10 times more productive than the previous technology. AI doesn't even come close to that. That paradigm shift from the old Pro CGI view code intermingled with the model code, that was the old model. When we went to the new model, when you had the separation and you had the server page based technologies, that was a huge upgrade over what we had beforehand. Much bigger than AI. AI is cool. I was actually reviewing some AI aggregation tools, new company, and it's kind of cool where you're able to look at the response of multiple AIs at the same time. So you can look at ChatGPT and Gemini and Bard and Grok and see what they say and compare the results. It's very interesting, by the way. So I put a question to the AI. I said, okay, in Python, write me a class that has two methods, one that scrapes a website, and I just have to pass it the URL as the argument, and one that validates an email. And I got very different responses from the different AIs, some very useful, some not so useful. So it's kind of cool. So yeah, Madame Okar, I'm assuming you're Madame since I looked at based on your photo. Don't worry about it. So just learn it, understand it, and just embrace it. Anissa's got it right. Yeah, please hit the thumbs if you will. That would be much appreciated. We got 88 people, only 22 thumbs. Our viewership to thumbs ratio is pretty bad. Pretty bad. So I assume you can hear me clearly. Everybody can hear me clearly? Okay, cool. So I did the subject. I always covered the 4 types of web professionals. Just a quick recap. You got the web designer and what they do. And let me talk about the jobs. You got the web designer, you got the front-end developer. Those are the guys and girls doing React and Vue. They're basically building apps. You got the back-end developer, and you got the full stack. The developers, those 3 I just mentioned, they're building applications. They're trying to build some sort of functional thing, like a Facebook or something like that, or a shipping app. Whereas the web designer, they're much more concerned about the branding and the marketing. Very, very important. Something I've learned the hard way in business. I've been in business for decades, and I've been a developer for decades. I learned the hard way. You can have the best product in the world, but if your marketing sucks, nobody will care. On the other hand, if you have an okay product, barely passable product, but you got good marketing, you can make sales. Marketing is supremely important. Do not discount the importance of the web designer, who is playing that very important role. Very important role. What else do we got for a question? Hey, everyone. Hey, how's everybody going? Hello. Hope you're doing Code Long and Profit. If you're wondering, that's I borrowed this hand salute from Star Trek. In Star Trek, the Vulcans would say, live long and prosper. I say code long and profit. So since nobody else stole it. I appreciate it. Glad you like the channel. Greetings. Hey, Theos, how are you, man? Hey, Steph, a little late, but greetings from Austria, and thanks for your live stream. Hey, no worries. I enjoy doing these now, but I'm feeling good again. My plan is to spear tip all my content through the lives, and then we'll do some recorded stuff. So I appreciate the thumbs up, by the way. Hold on. I was just making myself a coffee here. All right. Give me a second. Yeah, let me know in the comments. Make sure everything's clear. Volume is clear. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So that's it. So how about job opportunities between the 4 different types of developers I was talking about? The sun's coming in. So what are the job opportunities? Hold on. So what are the job opportunities? Well, it depends on your region, you know. Let me talk about the types of places you would work at. So if you're doing front-end development and back-end, pure back-end, chances are you're going to be working at medium to large-size companies, especially front-end. Front-end development with React, Angular, and Vue. These are tools, and this is a profession. This is a specialization in web development that I would think would be, generally speaking, medium to large. If you're doing full stack backend, you can find yourself in full stack. You can find yourself from very small companies to very large companies, due to the nature of what a full stack developer does. How about web designer? All of the above. How about freelancer? Well, freelancing, web designer, 100%. They big time, and full stack. Front end, not so much, and back end, pure back end, not so much. These are generalizations, talking about percentage and opportunities, but that's what it is. You can look that up. In terms of compensation, it all comes down to your skill. You know, traditionally, the web designer made less, but the web designer coupled with modern web design skills, where they know all these things I talked about and a bunch of other things as well, they can make a lot of money, especially in the freelance space. But if you were just an HTML, CSS person, that's limited. It's like junior web designer, so you're going to make junior money. But if you're a web designer who understands WordPress, understands UI UX really well, you understand how to integrate automations, you understand a few other things. You have a broader range of skills in that regard. You understand SEO, then you can make much more money as a freelance web designer. One of the best people I've ever worked with, and I still work with him, he actually did full stack web development, and then he decided, he's much more design oriented, so he still does jobs for me as a subcontractor. I contract to him, rather. And even though he's full stack, he sticks to pure web design, but he's really, really good because not only can he design aesthetically well, he also understands UX very well. That's user experience. So basically he knows how to lay out things so they're easy to understand. That's a skill, a valuable skill. And he understands business implications of things. He understands the WordPress landscape. He understands the other tools that are out there. So that's, yeah, there you go. Mr. Loop 80, little late, but greeting to, okay, I read you. Greeting. It's almost niche. Just dropping by to say hi. Thank you for your channel. Decided to learn PHP and its related stacks to learn web dev. I appreciate all the work you do. I appreciate that, Jim. Thank you. Very cool. I remember editing photos 1 pixel at a time. Yeah. So, would you recommend to take the WordPress developer route? I have only completed HTML, but have taken a WordPress course. What else should I learn? Well, make sure you know your HTML5 well. Then do your CSS. To get to the point with CSS where you understand CSSP as positioning, grid, and flexbox. Then I would start learning a little bit more about WordPress, install WordPress, configure, understand the different types of WordPress, the self-hosted, and so on. And then learn a bit about the ecosystem. Now, if you want to see if you like it. You have to like what you do. Like being a WordPress dev or professional is very different from perhaps working with, well, not perhaps, it's very different from working with React or something. Very different from building full stack apps. Some people hate it, some people love it. If you're a low-level WordPress person, you just know the basics, you're going to make less. But if you know a lot, you're really competent, you're going to make a lot, you know? So it's, yeah, so WordPress, yeah, just look at the job opportunities. Try it out, look at the job opportunities, and take it from there. Hey, Charles, how are you, man? Mentor student here. What can say now? What can say now, I think you meant, about Java Visual Studio? I may have an opportunity to do a project that requires it. Well, if you know, I haven't looked at Java Visual Studio. Is that like, are you saying, is that Microsoft's implementation, like their Java support in Visual Studio? Is that what you're talking about, Charles? Listen, if somebody's willing to pay you to write the code or build the system and you like it and the pay is good or is acceptable to you, then do it, you know? You taught me to code and freelance. Thank you. Wow. Fantastic. I'm glad I was able to help, Edward. Cool. How do I start a SaaS step? STEF'S tips for starting a SaaS. I've done it a couple of times that I can remember. Tip number 1, you don't concern yourself about the technology. The technology is not important when you're building a SaaS. What's important is the problem that you are solving in building a SaaS. So for example, somebody in the mentoring group recently, he used to work in shipping, and he identified a particular problem in shipping. I won't get into it, but he figured, hey, you know, shippers need this, this, and this, and that. They don't have it. Very difficult. So he started architecting and building it himself, and he offered it, he's offering up to a first shipping company. So the key to his SaaS is that he understood the domain. He understood shipping well, so he's able to solve the problem. So he's writing software. So look for a problem to solve. It may take time. SaaSes can be the most lucrative in terms of how much money you make, but they're also the hardest traditionally to jump into in terms of work, right? The easiest work to get is getting a job. Then it's freelancing. To get that going, you know, it takes a little bit more work than getting a job. And then it's a SaaS building. That's the hardest. And the pay compensation is equivalent as well. You as a freelancer, once you establish yourself, can make a lot more money than you equivalent working for somebody. But it takes time to get that going, you know? Thanks for the answer. No problem. Loud and clear. Feels is good. PHP versus Python, which would you recommend for backend? Generally speaking, I prefer PHP because PHP was designed specifically for backend web development, although you can do great work with Python. The problem is Django, which is the main framework for Python, is a bit janky, but it's workable. Once you got it set up and configured, it's fine. PHP is just much easier because that's all it does. But both can produce great apps. You think AI could start doing SaaS itself based on customer input? I doubt it. I doubt it. You still in Florida? No, I'm back in the third world country, otherwise known as Canada. No, I'm back home now. Got my rig here. Hey, Steph, I have a full-time job, but I'm also trying to break into freelance. I tried WordPress, but I just can't get into it. I really prefer Laravel. What think that will get me by? Yeah, you could. It's just when you're doing Laravel stuff, it would suggest over WordPress, it suggests a little bit more sophisticated type of work. Most freelance work, especially when you're starting, is going to be a lot of branding sites. So a lot of them are already on WordPress. So a lot of them want WordPress updates. But, you know, you can just use Laravel. See what happens, you know. Pink hand, text green, game over. I'm a depleted web designer being rejected from basic social media job. Well, find out why you're let go or being rejected, and just keep improving. Keep improving. But we take a break from answering questions, so if you can give me some thumbs, I would appreciate it. Okay, so the books. I got to do my book. So if you're a total beginner, I wrote this book years ago, but it's still evergreen. I wrote it on purpose to be evergreen, and it stood the test of time. You can get it on Amazon. So this is my book. This is my book. You can get that on Amazon. This is for total beginners. It's a web design book. Highly reviewed, lots of photos, pictures. It's designed to really help you wrap your head around the whole web design thing. So there it is. I don't make money on this. They paid me my advance, and that's it. So I'm not doing it for I think it's just a good book. You can also take my course on it as well. It's interactive. Now, if you are an experienced developer or you're intermediate level and you want to up your game, instead of learning a new framework, learn to refactor. This is the Java version. There's links below for the Java and the JavaScript version. This is a process of cleaning up your code. When you learn to clean up code, you become a better coder in the first place, because you'll learn to avoid bad code. So this is the Java version. So it will give you the problem code, and it will give you the solution. And then what happens when even if you just do one chapter a week, you know, and do the refactorings, follow along, and the rules in here, the principles in here apply to any programming language. And you do that, you see your coding skills will just skyrocket. So this is highly recommended if you're like intermediate level. You know your foundations, you're ready to go, do the refactoring. Links below for my book as well. Yeah, and we're doing it very good. All right, 100 people. Yeah, appreciate the thumbs, guys. Thank you very much. Time for a coffee break. Hold on. Oh, so just I do have a Discord channel. So here's the Discord server. We have thousands of members on here, so I welcome you to join. So these are the people who have joined since April 19th. We have about 3,000 people. It's a nice group of guys and girls. I recommend you go there. So link below. Join up the Discord. A lot of times when I'm doing my lives, people want to continue to have conversations. So the Discord server is the place to do that. So yeah, check out the Discord below. Yeah. All right. How we doing? Is security a thing in freelancing? If yes, what areas? What would it be wiser to transition to dev? Yeah, I don't see security as being a big freelance thing, just because of the nature of the job. Usually they're going to have internal people doing that. So yeah, if you want to freelance, I would go into dev. It's always better to build than to maintain things as a long-term prospect. You know what I mean? Please talk about some small SaaS ideas. Thank you. Well, it's again, you have to have domain knowledge. So for example, Studioweb, which is the last SaaS I built, it's still being used by schools now. Go to studioweb.com, you can see it. It's a platform we built. So I conceived of the concept of the platform, and then they put it out there. We had about 1,000 retail people try it out. And then I got approached by a couple schools. My first school was, in fact, in Tennessee, and the second school was in Ohio. And then from there, we started really developing what the app did, how sophisticated it was. through feedback from the teachers and the students. So I've had probably over 1 million students. I don't know how many now, but use the system. But in the first 3 to 4 years of that SaaS, we did massive changes to it based on the feedback we were getting from teachers and students. So when I went into the SaaS, I had maybe 60% of it because my whole family is involved in education, so I kind of had that instinct. Despite that, I only had about 60% of it. And by getting it into the hands of the teachers and students, I was able to really make that thing come together. But it took time, it took years. So SaaS ideas, again, depends on your domain. You have to understand the space, I don't know, if you worked in coffee shops, maybe you may understand what independent coffee shops might need in a SaaS, if you worked, I don't know, an independent butcher, maybe you understand that as well. I don't know. So I can't give you any ideas off the top of my head. You have to research that. You have to look into that. That's where freelancing can come in handy, by the way, because as you freelance, you deal with more and more businesses, typically small businesses. You start talking to people and you start seeing things, So you got to get out there and you got to just explore the market. You got to explore the market. Hello, thanks for your informative videos. Any news about Devin AI? Yeah, apparently I did a video on that. Apparently Devin is a big fail, so I heard. There was an article about it. A bunch of people talked about it, how they basically just BS'd about how good it was. Don't worry about Devin. It's not going to replace any developer jobs anytime soon. Tailwind CSS is way better than Bootstrap. Changed my mind. Well, a lot of people in my mentoring program, Bootcamp, prefer Tailwind. So if you like Tailwind, use it, use it. If you like Bootstrap, use it. See, you're going to get to the point where you're going to receive that, you're going to have your preferred technologies, but you're also going to realize that everything has their pros and cons, and depending on what you value, how you weight things, will play a role in terms of what you determine as being better or worse than others. So yeah, if you like Tailwind, man, use it. I know people who love it a lot. So it's all good. It's like I had not a big argument. Two of my friends are big into BMW. That's all they buy is BMWs. They're nice cars. But at the time, I preferred Audi. And so now I've gone way off. Like my latest vehicle, I've gone way off the reservation. I bought myself a Genesis because I was tired of bringing my car to the garage all the time. But that's personal choice. The BMWs handle really, really well. They're much, but I found the Audis. I found that overall I preferred the drive, but it depends who you talk to. Same thing with Tailwind versus Bootstrap, whatever you like. I appreciate that. Sup, Uncle? Sup, we love you, bro. I appreciate it, man. Hey, how you doing? Hope everything is well. Hello, audience. Yeah. I imagine some button forms will talk to the server, but it seems buttons are front-end work. Yeah, buttons are front-end work. Does front-end make the empty shell of a button and back-end bring the functionality? Sometimes. Sometimes you can add functionality to the front end. That's where JavaScript comes in. So you could, they call it event handlers in JavaScript. So on click is an event handler. So on the click of the button, do this. And then you can run some JavaScript code. That's front end. But you can use a front end code, the on click event in JavaScript. You can use that to trigger what they call an AJAX call that sends a message to the server that then activates code on the backend. So there's that back and forth. So it depends what's going on. So like Google Maps makes heavy use of that whole thing, right? So I hope that makes sense. See, what you have to understand, Wes, there is a distinction between the front end versus the back end. Basically, in a nutshell, when you're running front end code, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript also runs in the back end, but traditionally is the front end. That code is processed by the web browser. When you have back end code, the code is processed on the web server. Capiche? So it depends where the code is cooked up. If it's cooked up in the front, in the browser, it's called front-end code. If the code is cooked up, processed on the server, that's server code. Make sense? All right, how we doing? 35 minutes, not bad, not bad. Appreciate the thumbs, guys. Uncle, first greetings from Iran. Ah, very cool. Welcome to the stream. We are 3 students and want to start working together with develop as freelancer in a team and later establish our own startup company. Do you recommend? Why not? Be sure when you partner, Professor Dr. Crab, when you partner with somebody, it's like getting married. So vet them thoroughly. Make sure their characters are good. Make sure they handle stress well. Make sure they're very honest, because if they're dishonest with people you don't know, if they treat waiters badly or they treat their girlfriends or their boyfriends badly, I don't know, they're dishonest, they're cheaters, that will come to you at some point in time later on in the business. So when you choose business partners, think of it as choosing getting married. It's serious, serious, serious business. So when you partner with somebody in the business, it's like marriage without the sex, which is pretty much like marriage after 5 years. So you're getting married when you pick a business partner. So be very careful about that. I'm not saying don't do it, just vet them, meaning understand the character. Little red flags, I'm not too sure. That's your lizard brain giving you a little warning. They're seeing things that you're not seeing consciously. So be careful, but why not? Also, if you're young and it's your first business, then go for it, you know? Also, choose your business partner based on your needs, right? Do you need them? What do they bring to the table? So if you are really good at design, UI, UX, and you're not good at backend, a good partner would not be another designer. A good partner would be a backend person, right? Or if you're good at management, getting things done on time, it's good to hire somebody who's good at sales if you're not good at sales. Does that make sense? So you want to find complementary partners. All right, let's see what else. That one of us does front end, the other does back end. Okay, cool. And the third is focused on UI UX. Or should we all concentrate on one? No, that's good. You want complementary. You bring in different partners, different people, because you want to complement the skill sets. That's perfect. Let me know how it goes. But yeah, let me know how it goes. Yeah. But remember what I just said. Charles, apologies for my jumbled question. You answered it. Java Visual Studio is very esoteric. That's why I am pausing before investing time into learning it alongside the mentoring curriculum. Yeah, something I talk about, sometimes you may find a technology that to you is very compelling. You may say, hey, this is a great technology. But if it's not used too often, you may find yourself stranded on a technology island. Like, for example, I once used a Java front-end framework that I really liked back in, I guess, the 90s. I really liked it a lot, and I developed some apps with it. And then that technology never took off. Basically, development of the technology disappeared. So it's like, we had to rip it out at one point and put in something more mainstream. So when you're choosing a technology, consider its longevity and its market, its market share. Sometimes you have to choose a technology that you may find inferior, but has a much larger market share. So long-term, it might be a safer choice. That said, when it comes to a code editor, it's not really the same thing, because you can switch off code editors, mid-project. It's not a big deal. So if you like Visual Studio, then use it. But I would take a look at some of the more popular Java code editors if you're going to be writing Java. JetBrains used to be the king of that, rather. Anissa, Steph, I want to start learning to code, but I had to detour my journey due to family matters. That happens. That's okay. I'm so busy these days, but I want to start the journey, start your classes. What do you suggest? Just start. All you need is 20 minutes every day or 20 minutes every other day, and slowly bump it up to 30 minutes. But, you start, what's that cliche I don't know if you call it expression, story, whatever. You know, you start a marathon with one step. You know, just do a little bit every day or a little bit every other day. That's all. That's all. Oh, before I get to more questions, how are we doing? All right. So here's another interesting book. I always like to bring in a book that's non-code related. So this is actually an interesting book for people who want to get into business or freelancing. How music works. This is actually a business book. So David Byrne was the leader of a very, very popular band from the 80s. And he talks about the music business, and he goes into the history of it, and he goes into the numbers, what he had to do, and the marketing, and the technical challenges, and it's really fascinating. It gets into the finances of business, music. It's fantastic. So this is a fun read. If you're interested in freelancing, interested in business, it's about the music business, but the lessons here are very, very applicable. So I recommend this book. Again, it's an interesting book. So you can take a screenshot of this if you want. Boom. Maybe I should put a link to it down below. Come on, autofocus. There we go. Cool. All right. Hold on. Let me just check to see how the Twitter's doing here. You got people on Twitter watching? Hold on. If you got questions, put them down. Just curious. All right. Cool. Hey, Twitter people. We got 55 people watching on Twitter. Not bad. Not bad. I hope you like the stream. Let me know in the comments. Uncle Steph is on X. Yeah. Let me know, Twitter. If this is for the Twitter people or the X people, let me know in the comments if you want me to keep streaming live like this on that platform. So I'm doing both just for fun. I don't know if you can see that. But anyway. All right. So we'll get to some more questions. Well, actually, just a quick reminder, I do have a Discord channel. So if you want to hop on, its link is below. We have about 3,500 members. So if you want to continue the conversations, we start up on the live streams, it's a place to go. If you're wondering about that white hand is my logo. Let me just lighten up the image here again. All right, good. All right, how we doing here for time? Not bad, not bad. If you like the stream, give me a thumbs up. If you hate my stream, you hate my hat, give me 2 thumbs down. Let me know. Okay. Candy, how are you? I've used PHP years ago. At the time, if I'm not wrong, its syntax was weird. Yep. The PHP syntax is not the most pretty, that's for sure. Like the equality operator, if less than, maybe I'm confusing with Bash, but I haven't tried PHP. PHP has got some weird things about it, but I think they've cleaned that up quite a bit. You know, nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect. You'll find that certain things in PHP are kind of weird, and other things you're going to go, wow, it's easy. Like, for example, somebody in the mentoring group, they were big Python Django people, and they finally decided to just look up PHP Laravel, try it out, and they were amazed at how easy it was to get to develop with PHP Laravel relative to Django. Nowadays, language don't matter much if you understand microservices architecture, but it don't matter much if you understand development. But yeah, if you don't know what microservices architecture is, it's about basically you have an app, a core app. This is going to be a very basic explanation. So you got your core app, and to inject functionality into your app, you use other apps' services, microservices. So you might have a microservice that just validates email. So you send the email text string that's supposed to be an email to the microservice. The microservice will go, yes, this is an email, or no, it's not an email. And it will send you a response back, and you proceed that way. As an example, I'm not sure if you would want to use a microservice to validate email, but conceptually, you understand. Symfony or Laravel, which one is better for a developer to be skillful in that? In terms of market share, last I checked, Laravel is very dominant. So, of course, the Symfony people will tell you Symfony is better, and the Laravel people will tell you Laravel is better. I would default to Laravel. Can I just focus on WordPress alone? Sure, I love WordPress. I'm working as a freelancer hoping to upgrade to an agency. Why not, man? There's a lot of demand for WordPress. Just keep becoming better at WordPress. You understand WordPress, you understand themes, building themes, editing themes, you understand Elementor maybe, the major big ones out there, understand the key plugins. Become a WordPress master. You can make tons of money that way, you know? Oh, I'll answer the super chat. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it. Para-character, exaggerate, stretching his arm forward, offer a cup of coffee. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, man. Very cool. Yeah, check back in and let us know how your agency is doing. Okay, I was going. Remember Adobe Cold Fusion? Well, I remember when it was, I remember Cold Fusion before Adobe bought it. I am agreeing with you. Study the longevity of any coding platform. Yeah, exactly. No worries, man. No worries, Anissa. Excuse me, ma'am. Great contact. Thanks from Morocco. No worries. I'm happy to help. Let's see what the Twitters are doing here. Let's see what the Twitters, the hell we're doing here. The X's. All right. It's a competition. Okay. So X has 59 concurrent people watching. We got 138. Not bad. So getting close to 200 people watching. Oh, yeah. 143. Thanks for joining the stream, everybody. I really like doing these lives, to be honest with you. Thanks for your golden word and advice. No worries. Everything I talk about, by the way, everything I talk about is based on personal experience. If I don't know it, I'll tell you I don't know. So, cool. Coders should code their own apps. I'm coding a tarot reading and dream interpretation app to put in my website where people can pick cards and write dreams. It will interpret the dream automatically. That sounds like a cool app, Miss Okar. It sounds like a cool app. Here's a little trivia. My great-grandmother, who lived to be 98, she passed away decades ago. She used to read tarot cards for a living. That was her thing. Yeah. PHP syntax is not as ugly as Perl's. That's true. Perl is such a pretty name for a PL, but its syntax is horrible. Yeah, Perl is, it's rough. It's rough. I've actually had to do some Perl coding back in the day. We used to call it scripting. And the first web apps were actually done with Perl CGI. Should learn still web dev, or will AI replace us? AI will not replace web devs. Web dev or iOS, what is better to start? Depends what you like. You know what I would do? I would try iOS. Learn a bit of Swift. Do a couple of simple web apps in iOS. And then try web dev, HTML, CSS. You may start off with iOS and Swift. And then when you're going to go to the web, you're going to be pretty confused because but there's a lot more jobs in web dev versus iOS. There's just a lot more jobs. I'm not saying that web dev is better. It's just a lot more jobs. So, yeah. No, don't worry about AI. You know how you identify the fake developers in the online space? If they tell you AI is replacing coders, they are fake. That's it. All right. Just the wheel. Steph, I wanted to change from sysadmin to developer, but could find a job only in software maintenance in product-based company. Now it's been 2 years, but unable to switch to dev. What do you suggest? You can find a bunch of video Sajid where I go over the steps, but basically you learn your fundamentals of development, which I assume you have. Then you build a website, make sure it looks good, and then you start looking for little projects to do for free, just so you can start getting your hands dirty with real coding. That's the key to all that. Don't give up. Definitely enjoying the stream. This is my first time joining. Hey, thanks for joining Sierra Reed. Welcome to the stream. I don't know if you know me. I'm Uncle Steph, by the way. If you're new to the stream, I've been a developer since I wrote my first professional code where I got paid or made money with code. It's in 1994, 95. I'm ancient. I did my first freelance gig for a legal firm in 1995. And, but I've always looked at code as a means to an end. So I love being a coder. I used to be a super nerd and would code Friday and Saturday nights instead of going out at one point. And but for me, coding has always been a super tool, a superpower. And that's why I was so attracted to coding and development in the first place, because I realized that understanding this world was very, very valuable. So for me, it's always been a tool to build businesses or to make money. I thought to myself, worst case scenario, if my business fails, if I understand coding and I'm competent as a developer, I could always find a very high-paying job. That said, I've never had to, but it's good. Yeah. Hey, Uncle Steph, what would be your best advice for a front-end developer with 3 years experience? Also, what can I do to overcome imposter syndrome? It's strange that you have imposter syndrome after 3 years. I would start learning the backend now, if you don't already know it. I would start learning the backend and start expanding your skills, start looking around for more jobs. Hey, if anybody who's watching on X, we're up to 62 people on X now. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments. I'm refreshing here. Put them in the comments. Unfortunately, put them in the comments in X, and I will answer those questions for you. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah. All right. Candy says, Steph, goal is to be a wise software engineer like you when I grew up. Just keep writing code. That's the key to it all. As I used to tell people, I did martial arts for over 2 decades, and I was a bouncer in nightclubs, and I did security. And I can tell you, this is what I tell people. You want to learn how to fight? You fight. You want to learn how to code? You code. That's the trick. That's the secret. That's the hack. Hey, Steph, how do you handle user authentication for login so you get third party, or do you store passwords in your database? Well, Trey, I would just store them locally and salt them. That's encoding them. But if any good framework, web dev framework, will have an authentication layer, and where you store the data, the password, typically it's a local thing. But if you can do it on a third party, that might be actually an extra layer of security there. .NET Angular dev here, cool. I just started freelancing with WordPress, and I find lots of .NET jobs, two on Upwork. Okay, finds a lot. Should I start learning PHP or not? Because maybe 3 languages is a lot. You will be able to learn PHP in a matter of a few days. So if I would just learn the basics. You'll learn in a few days, and it would. And maybe learn the basics of Laravel, just install it and do the hello world. That's about it. And then offer it. Don't go beyond that. And then if a job comes up that requires PHP, Laravel, then learn it on the job, That's cool, man. See, that's where you want to be as developers. You want to be at a point where, Dimitar, if I said it right, you're at the point where you've done some dev. You've done. I assume you got some experience here, .NET Angular dev. So you know what you're doing. You're a developer. So then you can just pivot into whatever you want to do. In my freelance career, I would go into jobs, and I would have no expectation about what language I would use. And in the beginning, I did, because I was a little bit. When you're a beginner, you say When you're a beginner, you kind of join a team. Like you're a beginner, you're going to join. I'm team JavaScript, or I'm team Java, or I'm team Angular, or I'm team PHP, etc. But as you get more mature as a developer, I'm not in any of those teams. They're just tools. Sometimes Java makes sense. Sometimes this .NET Angular makes sense. So it depends on the job. That's where you want to be. That's the goal. You want to be to the point where you don't care. It's like that in fighting, by the way. I did a lot of fighting styles, and I noticed at the very high levels, the best fighters, regardless of the style, kind of moved in the same way. Why? Because our physical bodies we're all pretty much the same, So, this was a very advanced Wing Chun punching, and this is a boxer's punching, is very, very similar, right? Anyway, if you're a martial artist, that analogy makes sense. If you're not a martial artist, it won't make any sense to you. All right, what do you think about no code? I would learn the no code options that are out there, and so that if something comes up, you can implement a no code platform. I'm a big believer in using any level of abstraction. What does that mean? So, for example, what's level of abstraction? And level of abstraction is something on top of something else. So that simplifies it. So, for example, I was looking at a product where it creates some really nice forms for people, HTML forms. And it does it all visually, drag and drop, adds animation. You can set the color, set the style. It does the responsiveness. It does the data binding, and it does the data tracking. Now, I could build this from scratch myself, but why not just use this service? You pay them, whatever, a few bucks a month, and you go click, 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 click. It's all done, and it looks beautiful. That's what you do. That's no code implementation, 100%. What are my top 3 rules of development? And I'm a guy who's done tons of coding over the years. Top 3 rules of development. Rule number 1, reuse. Rule number 2 is reuse. And rule number 3 is reuse. Don't look for code to write. Look to avoid writing code. The reason you want to use no-code platforms and low-code platforms, and you want to use libraries, you want to use frameworks, because A, they're going to save you a lot of time, and B, they're going to be far less bugs in those vetted code bases that you could produce. So yeah, don't look for code to write. You're going to find plenty of code to write. Let's see if our X people had any questions. Hold on. Bear with me for a second. How are we doing? Okay, let's go. Nope, no questions. But we got 64 viewers on X. Not bad. See, why am I streaming on X and on YouTube? Diversification. Diversification is a principle that is universal. There's an old parable, at least in Western culture. I'm assuming there's people from all over the world here. And the parable is a story. It's a story designed to convey some point of wisdom. And the story is, don't carry all your eggs in one basket, like chicken eggs. Because if you drop the basket, all your eggs break. So you want to carry them in 2 baskets. That's diversification. So I'm on multiple platforms for diversification reasons. If YouTube falls apart, I'm establishing myself on X, and vice versa. Same thing with investing. If you want to invest for retirement and you want to be financially free, the key is to be highly diversified. Have a little in real estate, in the stock market, in bonds and debt. Maybe if you're into crypto, maybe in crypto, although I'm not a big crypto fan, but you've done crypto 5 years ago, you've done amazing. So you want to be spread out, diversified. That's why I'm doing this. So by the way, if you haven't picked up on it, so I talk about coding and development, and I talk about finance and health and nutrition. Everything I teach, by the way, everything I talk about, personal experience. What are your thoughts on the future of PHP-focused developers and freelancers alike? I think they're very good position. I think we're going to see a huge amount of small business develop over the next several years. I think small business development is going to improve quite a bit. Yeah. Also, what are your thoughts on HTMX reducing JavaScript fatigue? I looked at HTMX. It's a bit of a niche tech at this point, so keep in mind my lesson about niche tech I talked about earlier today. Anissa is correct. If I would appreciate any thumbs up for the old Uncle Steph. I'm old Uncle Steph. People who say PHP is dead are not aware of programming language called PHP. That's true. Yeah. Thank you. Steph, please talk a little bit about pricing for freelancers. Do you have some advices? Yeah, when you're first starting freelancing, what you got to do is you got to track everything that you do. the calls you make, the emails you send. Track all your time. How much time you spend researching images, editing images, writing the code, deploying, whatever it is. Track everything. Why do you track everything? Because you're going to start becoming on a spreadsheet. So I have a freelancer course, Shameless Self-Promotion, where I provide a time tracking spreadsheet. So it teaches you, well, just looking at that spreadsheet is going to teach you everything, a lot about freelancing. But by tracking your time, you're going to start becoming more aware of how long it takes to build something. So when you come across a project, you're going to, as you try and track your projects diligently, as I suggested, you will become better at judging how much time it takes you to build a project. And in terms of how much you charge, and you're starting out, you're going to charge less because you're less efficient. Then as you become more efficient, you develop better workflows, you just become better at what you do, you become a better problem solver, your skill sets will increase, you will become far more productive. So Mr. Loop 80, if you're just starting out, your productivity may be 1x, but after 3 years, your productivity will probably be 10x. So you're going to be worth 10 times more. So when you're first starting out, don't worry about getting the big bucks. Just worry about getting the jobs and completing the jobs and developing the skills and the abilities. As you improve, you'll start making bigger and bigger money. Okay, an hour. All right, an hour in. Good idea to get an associate's degree from local community college across the street while learning to code. Dr. Phil's eyebrows, it depends on if it's free or not. If you want to freelance, then you don't need any degree. If you want to start a business, you don't need any degree. If you want to work for larger companies, you may need a degree. So it depends, So it depends. But if you can do it for free and you have the time, Last Spoil says, Steph, big fan. Well, I appreciate that. Thanks. Can I put experience working as a developer on my resume, even if I can't show what I did? Why not in my portfolio? For sure. It's private information related to the company. For sure. You just say that. Say, I worked at X company, but I can't show you what I did. But I did this. You can classify it for work, right? You say, I did backend development at Pfizer. I helped develop missile systems for, Boeing. I'm just joking around there, but you get the idea. Is the degree worth it? Depends on the degree. I would say 80% of degrees in university are not worth it. 80% are not worth it. Some degrees are worth it. It depends on the degree. I'm going to come out with more videos on that. Those people are always trying to kill this or that tech just by saying it's over, dead, done. It's the best way to detect fake or at least an immature developer. Yeah, 100%. 100%. For authentication, a lot of developers are using OAuth 2 or use Okta. I've never used Okta. I don't know about that. You are suggesting handling authentication myself. Why is that? And did you do that with Studioweb? Studioweb uses whatever authentication modules that are included in the current version of Laravel. I don't write the code for Studioweb. I haven't for a long time now. I just don't have the time. So I have my developers who take care of that when needed. But Studioweb is a very mature platform now. It's very mature, so it's not much to do there. More maintenance. Please, your views on IoT development. It's a niche product, but there's a lot of work in that. Like, I haven't looked at the data, but I would imagine IoT is fine. If you like it, that's cool. But I imagine for every IoT job, there might be 100 web development jobs, if not much more. But if you like it, I'm sure there's plenty of work there. So Studioweb authentication is handled by your company. I have Studioweb. Studioweb authentication is handled internally. We just have salted data, user passwords, and it's stored, and then that's it. So it's pretty safe, super safe. We don't keep any payment information. That's all off-site. So we don't track or keep any payment information, any financial information on our servers at all. We just offload that. So even if somebody were to hack Studioweb, there's nothing there. That's, unless they want to know what your grades were. Ooh, yeah, we know what Trey Brown's grades are. You know, yeah, so it's no big deal. Is recession actually happening? Why are governments all around the world quiet about it? No news channel is talking about it, seeing it impacting countries, not just a country. Yeah, see, recession indicators are, they look back. Like we could be in recession now, and I got a feeling we are, but they won't have that data until 3-4 months from now. And this is a political season in the US. So whenever it's a political season, they will refrain from talking about any bad news until after the election. So we could very well be in a recession now. There's no question about that. I'm getting indications of that talking to people in various businesses. Diversification, exactly. That's why after me being unemployed for 4+ months and still going, I realized just do not depend on a job. Just don't. Yeah, Candy, you have to always be looking around, always be mining for opportunities, you know. Currently, IT industry is extremely competitive. Many firms are firing and laying off employees. We're not even talking about silent resignation here. I love martial arts, especially Kung Fu. I still train. Very cool. 91 DeGros. What martial art, what Kung Fu do you train in? I did Wing Chun Kung Fu and I did White Crane Kung Fu. I love to live in the USA. I'm obsessed with it. Nadir. Yeah. Well, I'm in Canada. So I was just in the USA for 4 months. I might be moving down there. Still recommend the web stack over Python for total beginners wanting to learn coding programming, which has quickest track for getting entry-level work. Web dev, 100% for entry-level work. Well, the problem with low-code, no-code to client using that, it's always going to be the level of dependence to specific tools and providers. That's true. You give up your freedom to change, maybe. That's true. No question about that. There's pros and cons to everything. There's pros and cons to everything. Let me check the Twitter feeds. And then I'm going to sign off for tonight. All right. 67. Pretty good. So we got 67 live on X. Not bad. All right. So over 200 people watching now live between the two platforms. Unless we got people doubling up. I don't know. All right. So I'll answer a few more questions. I'm going to head out because I've been on for an hour. A good point. I always struggle with how much time. It's hard to question to answer. Okay, so that was about Candy's talking about freelancing here. Steph, what no-code platforms do you recommend, and can the code be implemented into VS Code? Depends on the platform. Depends what you're doing. Depends what you're doing. I don't have an answer, but we'll leave that to another stream. There's a few off the top of my head. 5 years ago, I paused my degree to pursue a full-time position in cybersecurity. Since then, I've had 5 years of pro cybersecurity experience. 5 years later, I haven't finished. Should I still finish it? You know, man, I don't know. I don't know. If you don't, does your employer say that you're going to get a pay raise if you get the degree? If it's something personal that's going to make you feel good, then maybe do it. It's hard to go back. You know, if you're in university and you're thinking of quitting, just remember, if you do quit university and you leave, which is fine, I did, you probably won't go back. I appreciate that. I'm building a web app in Spring Boot. I believe there is authentication in Spring Boot with stuff like JWT. I guess there is nothing wrong with storing passwords, as long as they're encoded, you know? As a general rule, with your own personal password game as a user, have different passwords for every single site. I have different passwords on every single site I use. No question about that. So if one site gets hacked, they just have the password for that site, not any other site. So have different passwords for every single tool. It's a pain in the butt, I know, but it's worth it. Makes me sleep good at night. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Appreciate it. God bless you, Uncle Stevan. I'm learning the IT industry, investing and saving and freelancing all from you. Cool, man. Good. I'm glad I could help. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining the stream. I'm Uncle Steph. If you like my stream, please give me a thumbs up so that the Google algorithm knows. If I get a lot of thumbs up, I do these more often. Yeah, I enjoy doing them. So, seems like a successful experiment. Almost 70 people on X. Almost 70 people on X. Pretty good, pretty good. All right. We'll do the last few questions and I'll head out now. I'm studying Java at the moment to finish technical course. I'm not worried in getting a job right now. Started with PHP programming beginning. Can you recommend some framework in Java for web dev? Well, Spring Boot, Raphael, is the king right now, so you're probably best learning Spring Boot. Would you suggest going straight into help desk position out from study? Well, you want to get job experience. Help desk is not going to make you a coder, but you want to get job experience, you know? So let me just finish off here. So you want to check out my, I got a Discord server down below. We got all kinds of stuff going on there. We got a lounge, showcases, career advice, UI, UX, workflow. So we got all kinds of stuff going on. So it's pretty comprehensive. And WordPress CMS discussions. We got a good group on there, so I invite you to join my Discord. Just look for the white hand. And yeah, there you go. All right, boys and girls, thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate it. And yeah, Golang, good language. Very niche though. All right, thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate it. Code long and profit, everybody. If you like these streams, do give me a thumbs up. Much appreciated. And we will see you in the next stream. And if you have any questions about anything discussed here or anything else, you can comment below this video, either on X or on YouTube's. All right. Cheers. Well, you know what? We'll end with my ASMR video in Maine. We'll talk soon.